Quick, look at this beautiful girl bitten by a zombie. She is actually in my dream. That's correct. I obtained a system that can pull people into dreamland. Not only can I control the wild beasts in dreamland, but I have spent 180 days there, while in reality, only one night has passed. My name is Carlos, and I work at the well-known company W. I am an employee of the advertisement department. I commute between home and the office every day. This man, who is the supervisor of the advertisement department, always likes to assign tasks at the end of the workday. I have been in this job for 2 years. My salary has not increased at all, but the workload keeps getting bigger. Just when I was working hard to promote to potential clients, a strange image suddenly appeared on my computer screen. The image scared me, so I quickly stepped back. My colleague noticed my reaction and asked me with concern what was wrong. At this moment, my screen returned to normal. All I could say was that I had blurred vision. Later, I learned from my colleague that the supervisor is going to take everyone out for dinner. This leader always likes to have dinners, and they are not company-paid dinners. After sending money home last week, I don't have much living expenses left. I originally wanted to say that I don't like crowded places as a reason for refusing. But my colleague Troy told me there's no way out. This time we're inviting the new director to dinner. I have to go. At this moment, the new director has just arrived. Troy mentioned that Lillian was recently promoted to director shortly after she arrived. For sure, she knows someone from the top. A typical spoiled rich girl. I probably won't have a chance to get close to this kind of person in my lifetime. I still went out to dinner with them after work. After all, it was a dinner to welcome the new director. I couldn't not come. However, just at this moment, I heard a loud noise in my eyes. After that, electronic voice spoke. Successful implantation of the iris. Optic nerve connection successful. Successful connection to the cerebral cortex. What's going on? Can't everyone see this? This eerie scene. I didn't expect her to say that she obviously can't see it. She then explained that she is a VR revolutionary across eras, able to perfectly calculate all senses, including your thoughts, so we can have silent conversations. They calculated with big data that I am best suited to be a dreamland tester. I am curious about what a dreamland tester is. She explained that the Dreamland Tester tests our company's specially designed dreamland for experiencing a different kind of life in dreams. You can think of it as an upgraded version of a VR game. I lost interest when I heard this. Let her leave quickly. However, she urged me not to be hasty and mentioned that she still has another feature. It can replicate anyone into the dreamland, and I get to decide what happens. She asked if I wanted to try different identities and roles. Just at that moment, Walter arrived with the new director. The system then asked me if I was satisfied with the current situation. After Walter introduced the new director to everyone, she started to introduce her subordinates. First, the team leader of the advertisement department introduced himself as her trusted right-hand man. In fact, this team leader has been promoting through flattery all the way. After introducing the team leader, Walter introduced the rest of the people again. Of course, except me. Walter then became busy taking selfies. Unexpectedly, Director Lillian actually took the initiative to consult me. I excitedly stood up and said, "Director, hi," just about to introduce myself. Walter, on the other hand, just commented on a junior staff member beside us. He also mentioned that my work abilities are average and my interpersonal skills are not mature. However, in the company, I can easily win over demanding clients. She turns a blind eye to this. I wanted to give her some advice on the risky plan she proposed earlier. However, Walter said I was questioning her abilities. In this way, under Walter's introduction, Director Lillian didn't pay any attention to me again. After the meal, everyone started to disperse on their own. I thought hard work would be recognized sooner or later. I didn't expect it to be like this. And in college, the senior student Theo, who is jealous of evil as an enemy, is now asking me to quickly choose a side and curry favor with the leaders. Looking at Troy getting on the car, I know. She is completely different from her university days. At this time, Walter and the director also came out. Troy thinks the director shouldn't waste time on the lower staff. He also said that this will make some employees daydream. Some people always have the illusion that toads can eat swan meat, working hard without any reward. Discrimination also happens in private. I've had enough of such days. Tomorrow I will consider resigning from my job. Before that, I want to vent a bit. I told System to copy both Lillian and Supervisor Walter to Dreamland. However, System said the command was wrong. The copy function in Dreamland only allows scanning one person. Then tell me the priority order of the instructions. System determined that the scanning target is Lillian. Then the system flew to the top of Lillian's head. Start scanning. With a swoosh sound, the scanning is completed. I called Carlos obtained a system that can pull people into Dreamland. Just now, I copied our new director Lillian into the system. My Dreamland with her will start at midnight tonight. I need to find a sleeping place right away. Due to being too nervous, the issue I was worried about has arrived. That is, I cannot sleep. Fortunately, this system can achieve physical sleep. After I agreed to let the system help me sleep, I saw some inexplicable things. Then I lost consciousness and fell asleep. However, the next second, I woke up again. And beside me, an additional robot-like woman appeared. She told me she is the voice I have been communicating with, and she is also the administrator of Dreamland system. You can call her number 63. I thought Dreamland had started. She told me it hasn't begun yet. Then it was mentioned that there would be supplies before the big battle. This is the score exchange warehouse. As her words fell, the large doors next to me began to open one by one. Inside the warehouse, there are various items that need to be exchanged for score. As long as you complete the missions in Dreamland, you can get score, and score can be used to exchange for items here. In the future, the difficulty of Dreamland will gradually increase. Properly managing score is the key to completing missions. If you have enough score, you can also exchange for powerful NPCs like number 63. After introducing number 63, I then started my Dreamland Apocalypse survival. Just as a white light flashed by, I woke up in horror on the bed. I got up and looked around. It seems like nothing happened in my house. It looks like I was fooled. How is it possible to have such advanced technology? I should hurry up and get ready for work. I pressed the switch in the bathroom. I didn't expect the power to go out. I can only tidy up a bit and then get ready for work. However, when I just walked out the door, I found that something was wrong. The street was too quiet. All the vehicles were stopped. There was no one else on the whole street other than me. Just then, I heard a buzzing noise above my head. I looked up and saw a plane out of control. Just like that, the plane crashed directly into the top of the skyscraper. At this moment, I suddenly realized that everything was not normal. Could it be that, just then, a hint came through? Virtual Dreamland Post-Apocalyptic Survival Mode initiated. How will you survive when all humans in the world disappear? Dreamland difficulty set to level 0. Mission complete in 180 days. Just as I was shocked by the mission complete time of 180 days, I heard the sound of rushing water in my ears. I looked down and was surprised to see that the little car beside me was leaking oil. With a bang, the small car exploded. I feel like this Dreamland is simply harmful. I'm here to help. Please feel free to ask any questions or provide more text for translation. My name is Carlos, and I have the ability to pull others into my dreams. I scanned and duplicated my beautiful female boss. I started to dream. Who knows, in my Dreamland, the beginning is the disappearance of all humans. Planes in the sky crashed into buildings due to lack of human control. Vehicles on the road also experienced major explosions due to oil leaks. Originally, these scenes were all meant to discourage me. But upon further thought, Dreamland's rules are events that occur after humans suddenly disappear. Therefore, plane crashes are something that would happen in a short amount of time. The mission complete time of 180 days may seem exaggerated, but it's just to make sure I accumulate enough resources. Then there won't be too much of a problem. After resigning, what should I do next? I can make a thorough plan during this half year. Or I can put off planning for later. I want to experience life around the world all by myself. Looking at the handsome self in the mirror, just can say, not bad. I won't miss out on those jewelry and fine wine, of course. At this moment, my mood is just like the lyrics. The lyrics say, no woman, no cry. However, I suddenly remembered. Don't I still have a virtual assistant named Lillian? So I questioned the air, asking, Game manager, when will Lillian be arranged? Why haven't I seen her yet? Just then, I heard a clattering sound coming from behind me. I thought she had arrived so quickly. Who knew it wasn't her, but rather pets left unattended after humans disappeared. Where is my Lillian? Could it be just a gimmick from the game developers? At this moment, a tiger appeared behind me. I watched as it pounced towards me. I yelled, Wait, don't come closer. I just washed my face. This tiger that licks me is called Dumby. It is the only carnivorous animal in our zoo. It is said that the keeper raised her from a young age, so she is very close to humans. Many tourists come here specially to take photos with her. She has a very distinctive feature, a ball behind. Most likely, the keeper must have lost her, and she escaped. What kind of company is the system of Dreamland? They even know such details. On the 7th day in Dreamland, I underestimated this challenge. Water supply interruption. I have to rely on bottled mineral water from the supermarket for my daily water needs. Due to the lack of electricity, all my meat products and vegetables have started to rot. There are insects everywhere. Although I can find some compressed dry rations for sustenance, I've heard that vitamin deficiency can cause big problems. I don't know how long I can hold out. Perhaps it's heaven's favor. That day, I also discovered something extraordinary. It was a diesel generator. When I was young, my family used this to power our grocery store. This generator has been running for at least 7 days. It's scorching hot. It could break down at any moment. Come a little later. Besides saying goodbye to electricity, I'm afraid I won't have a chance with the frozen meat in the cold storage. With a ready-made generator in cold storage, I plan to use this place as a long-term base. In the days ahead, I will work hard to collect supplies every day, clean up rotting flesh around at night, and I am willing to cultivate the land. So the time has come to the 31st day. The pet I encountered before has also starved to death on the street. Today I also don't know what I want to do. Luckily Troy reminded me to check the seed store. It's disgusting to find seeds in rotten vegetables. But suddenly I have a better plan. If I take my hands off the steering wheel now, disaster will strike soon. When I wake up, won't I want it all? Troy told me not to be so pessimistic. Didn't the garlic shoots grow well today? Finally, we can eat fresh vegetables. Let's cook some dishes to boost morale today. I argued with Troy that this is not just about a few vegetables. This world is flooded with shit and flies. I feel like living in a biogas pit. When I sleep, it feels like air can come out of my ears. At night, I can't see anything, only the sound of wind remains. It feels like the world has abandoned me. I want to rest soon. Troy looked at me and said that you can quit the game. But what about reality? You don't have any unique skills. Can your perseverance really handle life after resigning? You are playing a game. Don't let the game play you. Carlos looked at the faint Troy and didn't expect even in the game. You are urging me to compromise with reality. At this moment, a strong light shone into my eyes from the opposite side. I slammed on the brakes. At this critical moment, I and the car in front simultaneously made a large drift. During the drifting process, I saw clearly who was in the car coming towards me. With a loud bang, her car hit the parked car on the roadside. The airbag deployed automatically. At this moment, I finally came to my senses from a daze. Really? Lillian. On the 31st day of entering my exclusive dreamland, I finally met the assistant Lillian arranged by the system. That's how I brought her back home after she had a car accident. When she woke up here, she was already in my bed. The wounds on her face have also been taken care of by me. When she found a set of men's clothing at the head of the bed, she became alert immediately. So she got up and walked out of the room. When she arrived in the living room, she found the generator running and making a thumping sound. She didn't expect there was still electricity available here. There is even non-perishable food on the table. I, who is currently tidying up my beard, also noticed Lillian standing at the door. After exchanging greetings with her, I asked her to go eat and told her that everything was prepared for her. She at the dinner table mentioned remembering me from the company gathering, just not knowing my name. I smiled and mentioned, "Carlos seems to be the one." Lillian completely possesses memories of the person in real life. She admires my current life. Later, I asked her how she spent this month. She said she went back to her hometown to visit her grandmother. Everyone there had disappeared. I was the first living person she had encountered this month. She doesn't know what's happening in the world. Now I understand why I haven't seen her for a month. I asked her about her plans. When I asked about her plans, she seemed confused too, and said she didn't know. The conversation stopped here. Next would be the usual invitation to team up for the game process. I suggested that she settle in first. In this way, if someone gets sick, there will be mutual care. Secondly, the facilities here are more complete. Living conditions will be better. Seeing that she agreed, it's really similar to gaming strategies after all. Does this count as teaming up? Who knew? She continued to say. But it's better to clarify some things in advance. I asked her what it was. She said I'm not the type she likes. She hopes that we can keep a distance from each other in the future. I was stunned when I heard that. Why emphasize this point first? I do need a partner urgently. But I just want someone to talk to, not someone to project as Troy from the clothing store's mannequin model. It's absurd. Why do you always jump to conclusions and look down on others like us? But in the end, I also said it quite well. I agree. She won't just free ride. In the future, I'll be in charge outside, and she'll be in charge inside. I also agree with this approach. So let's say rest early. We'll start working officially tomorrow. On the way back to the room, I kept comforting myself not to get angry. This is just a game. It has no connection to reality. Besides, it's normal for girls to need some personal space. Morning of the 32nd day in Dreamland. I am sleeping soundly, but I am woken up by the noise outside the door. I said, "It's really noisy. I wonder what they are doing so early in the morning." I walked out of the room and saw boxes of all sizes. I was stunned. I asked Lillian angrily, as she was still moving things. What is she up to? She actually wants to clear out the warehouse to make it into her room, and even installed an intercom at the door. As for what? I found out she also threw away my mannequin. She just casually threw away my stuff without asking me. That's my fake buddy. He's been with me for so long. I've decided to move by myself. I said it's really annoying to start working so early in the morning. Just as I was about to go downstairs, I stopped in my tracks. Many boys are very interested in firearms. I am no exception. I once collected some specific guns at the police station. I treat them as collections. They are kept in this box. At this moment, one fully loaded magazine of Type 92 pistol is missing from this box. Lillian looked at me standing still and asked, "What's wrong? Have you not prepared to collect supplies today?" I said angrily, I've given it some thought. It's better to do our own laundry and cooking separately. She asked me why. I said irritably, reduce our chances of bumping into each other. This way, you won't have to be on guard against me, and I won't have to feel awkward around you. She then asked me, is it necessary? Asking me to put myself in her shoes, she said. She is a girl, and I am a man. It's necessary for her to take some safety measures, and for me to have some gentlemanly manners. I angrily said, I understand you are a girl, you're beautiful, you're wealthy, your position is higher than mine, so I can be insulted by you at will. And I have to follow your instructions, discuss myself to satisfy your sense of security. I asked her what exactly she was relying on. She gritted her teeth and only said one word, you. I then said, you can rest assured. Although I may not have the elegance you mentioned, I won't do anything to you. Less self-centeredness. Today is the 120th day since I entered the Dreamland game. There have been significant changes here compared to 3 months ago. The weather is no longer as hot, and the stench has diminished a lot. Lillian has planted many potted plants on this street. It looks like a paradise on earth. The vegetable garden is thriving under her management. The vegetable crisis is finally over. Of course, since the first argument, we haven't spoken to each other again. Can people really go 3 months without communicating with others? Anyway, I can't do it. I said to the co-pilot Troy, Lillian must be fighting with the mice in the garden. She's lost her mind. She seems to have completely lost her social needs. Where are we going to get meat today? We don't have much meat left in our storage. I don't know. Those cans of meat in the supermarket that are covered in flies. Would it be safe to eat them? In fact, catching rats is also possible. But if they are infected with bacteria or viruses, we would be helpless. By the way, we can go fishing. Although the fish might have grown up eating dirty things, at least they look appetizing. So I'll just do that today. I'll go visit our old friend first, then go fishing. In no time, I arrived at the old friend's residence. I held Dumby's head in my hands and asked him how he was doing. I'm also quite surprised that Dumby is still alive. 2 months ago, he was sitting at the entrance of the zoo, feeding on other animals inside. Fortunately, he still has no desire to attack humans. He occasionally relies on me for food, catching mice and stray pets to survive until today. Just as I was exclaiming, today when I gave him the last piece of meat from the freezer, he suddenly looked up and gazed into the distance. Then he rushed out while I was in a state of panic. It turns out he spotted a group of deer not far away. Not deer. The deer in the zoo don't have antlers. These are wild deer. Nature has begun to encroach upon human civilization. As I was lamenting, the sky began to darken. With a deafening roar, a lightning bolt tore through the sky. What's going on? Is it going to rain? But it's not just a shower. It's a violent typhoon. The wind is so strong that I can't stand straight. I'm running towards my car right away. This typhoon must be at level 10. It's impossible. This is an inland area. But then, I suddenly remembered something. How could I forget that this is in Dreamland? Is this a game mission? I just realized. Lillian rides her bike up the mountain for a stroll every day. It's almost time to reach the mountaintop. I immediately drove towards home. Their door is scattered with potted plants all over the floor. That was planted by Lillian herself. The gate is still open. It seems Lillian hasn't come back yet. I continue driving towards the mountain. The tomatoes in the vegetable garden by the roadside have already collapsed. Initially, Lillian fought many battles with mice for these tomatoes. My heart is getting more and more anxious. I drive and call out her name loudly. In the distance, amidst the flashing lightning and thunder, a blue light caught my attention. As I slowly drove closer, I finally saw Lillian. At this moment, she was completely drenched by the rain. She was holding onto a utility pole tightly with both hands. On her leg, there was a shocking wound that was hard to look at. I got off the car and held her in my arms. She looked at me weakly and asked, "Am I going to die?" At that moment, I confidently told her like a hero, "No, you won't. My name is Carlos. In my arms is my beautiful female boss, as a typhoon approaches." So, together we hid in a mountain villa. I looked at Lillian, who was soaking wet and injured all over. I kindly prepared to help her check the wounds. I didn't expect that she would directly reject my offer. I told her not to act on impulse. If infected, it could be fatal. She still insisted and said she could handle it. I can only say okay. Then I told her about my plans for the future. Because I don't know how long the typhoon will last. The area where we used to live is too low-lying. There is a risk of flooding. This villa on the mountain should be the highest point nearby. So I suggest leaving immediately to rescue the supplies at home. All the usable items should be moved here. We'll live here from now on. Due to Lillian's injury, I asked her to wait for me here. I also specifically asked her to pay attention to ventilation. Beware of carbon dioxide poisoning. Outside at this moment, lightning and thunder have already begun. The wind is howling. I put on a raincoat and went out. I feel the temperature dropping. The precipitation from the sky has turned into sleet. Soon I drove to the foot of the mountain. The ground is already covered with accumulated rainwater. I took out a stylus pen and tested it in the water. No electricity seemed to be generated. It looks like the generator is completely broken. The vegetables in the vegetable garden were washed away before we could harvest them. Originally planned for 3 days of storage in the cold storage, now only 2 meals worth are left. We are currently facing a serious food shortage. It is no longer realistic to go fishing in such strong winds. Even the mouse holes are flooded. There is nothing left. Life is like this, advancing vigorously. Suddenly halfway through, an avalanche happens. Maybe you're right. If I resign and encounter an emergency, I won't have any way to deal with it. What should I do, Troy? Where can I scavenge for food? What else can I do to save the situation? However, there is no remedy anymore. I drove to the zoo. Dumby sat quietly at the zoo's entrance. At this moment, I came here needing Dumby's help. Dumby at the moment does not know what has happened. His whole body is injured. I want Dumby to work with me in hunting. He can track while I have a gun. No matter how I communicate with him, he just doesn't want to leave me. His eyes are like waiting for someone. I finally understand what he meant. He doesn't want to leave here. He is waiting for the caretaker to return. I shouted at him, "You're not a dog. The caretaker is not in this world and won't come." I want to forcibly take him away. It will be troublesome if his wound gets infected. However, Dumby was roaring and cursing at me. A game turned out like this. It's my fault for getting too immersed in it. Alright, it's your choice. I probably won't come back until the storm is over. I looked back. Dumby was sitting quietly there waiting again. I could only sigh and leave. I can only pray that you will stay strong and keep on living. My dreamland game doesn't involve anything but sleeping. Everything else is too real. Lillian is the same. Dumby is also the same. Sometimes I can't control my emotions at all. I asked Troy how he managed to remain calm all the time. I need to learn this too. However, just then, I was startled by the scene outside the car. I quickly stepped on the brake. At that moment, Lillian actually fell into the rainwater completely. I hurriedly got out of the car and asked her what was going on. It turns out she wanted to borrow rainwater to boil water. In order not to owe me a favor, she even took my share. I was very angry. Trying not to owe me a favor has led to a more serious situation now. I really can't understand why she did this. Later, I lifted her up from her blushing face. Of course, she still resisted. And I just slapped her. Then I threw her on the bed. I told her I was busy enough. From now on, I call the shots here. I'm going to get the medicine box and threaten her not to act on her own. Be careful, I won't be polite. She also boldly said that she can get the medicine by herself. No need to fool me into helping. I yelled loudly, "Do you think I'm willing to? We only have 2 meals left." Later on, helplessly, she said, "You better yield quickly. Help me out. Don't give me trouble anymore. Otherwise, we will both starve to death." While I was helping her treat the wound, Lillian asked me what I planned to do. I told her I had seen a herd of deer before. However, they ran away. I'm preparing to go hunting tomorrow. She was very confused. A herd of deer in the city? I told her they should be wild. With humans gone, animals' territories have expanded. Lillian told me that wild animals will mark dangerous smells. After that, they will remain highly vigilant towards that smell. She asked me if I hadn't scared them. This question left me puzzled too. Although only Dummy rushed towards the deer herd at that time, the rest of the deer also saw my presence. I bandaged Lillian's wound while telling her that I was not sure, but I had a gun. Speaking of a gun, I reached behind and took out the gun she had hidden. I said, "This was found during the scavenging. It was under your pillow." I didn't touch the bullets inside. I'll give them back to you. Lillian took the handgun and asked me if I was sure about not confiscating it. I told her that it's a critical time now. I hope this can eliminate misunderstandings between us. Then I let her rest early. I also need to make some preparations for the worst. Today is the 121st day of my journey in the Dreamland game. The entire villa is covered with a layer of fresh snow. I look at everything in front of me. I didn't expect it to snow. After sorting through the memories of yesterday, I think the location where the deer herd is active is very likely just below the villa mountain. The location is elevated, with no risk of flooding. At the same time, it is a sparsely populated suburb with much denser vegetation than the city. But Lillian has put pressure on me. I have never learned to make traps. I can only hope that those deer don't remember my scent. I have never killed a chicken or duck since I was a child. Do I really have the courage to kill a deer? Just in case, I have brought some fish traps, hoping that some fish will enter the trap. What I don't realize at this moment is that I am setting out in the role of a hunter. But it is also possible that I am the prey of another species, such as a pack of wolves. On the 121st day of the game in Dreamland, I started going out to hunt. Wild deer herd reacts quickly. Whenever they make a sound, I will rush over the first time. However, when I gasp and rush over, in front of me, there was nothing but white snow. I have lost count of how many times this has happened. I can hear the herd of deer nearby. But until now, I haven't even seen their shadows. It seems like they are very clear about every move I make. They are deliberately playing me. Maybe Lillian was right. My scent has been marked by the deer herd. Continuing like this is just wasting energy. Try using a fish trap. So I came to the bank of a small river. I forgot about the heavy rain yesterday. Can fish be caught in such a swift water flow? Since I'm already here, I've decided to drop the fishing trap down and give it a try. The fishing trap that was just dropped almost got washed away by the river water. I was thinking that I can't afford to lose this fishing trap. The next moment, the excess rope at my feet was pulled by the fishing trap in the water. Then the rope was suddenly pulled taut, while the other end of the rope was firmly gripped in my hand. In this way, I was suddenly pulled by the force transmitted through the rope towards the river. With a splash, I fell into the icy river like that. I immediately let go of the hands that were still clutching the rope in the river. Luckily, the river wasn't deep. I wasn't swept away by the river either. Climbing up the bank, I cursed in frustration. Such bad luck! I felt freezing all over and thought I was going to freeze to death. I needed to hurry home and warm up by the fire. Just as I was about to go back, I saw a deer on the road. I immediately hid. I seriously doubted if I had made a mistake. I opened the package and found that the automatic rifle was missing. It seems to have fallen into the water. You can also use a shotgun at such close range. I know that I only have one chance. so I am especially serious, carefully focusing my gaze on the road ahead. With a bang, I was hit directly in the face by the recoil of a shotgun. The deer was also scared away by the shot and ran for its life. Fresh blood flowed directly from my nose. I wonder if the recoil is too realistic. What a rubbish game. You are ruthless. I feel so stupid. I lost a bunch of things and still managed to make a mess of it myself. I feel the growling in my stomach. Am I really going to starve here? Just then, a wolf howl came from behind me. 2 wild wolves appeared where I had just been standing. One of them was sniffing the blood on the ground where I had just stood. Damn it, now even the wolves are here. I immediately chambered a shell in my shotgun. However, those 2 wild wolves did turn around and leave. I also don't know why they slipped away like that. So I immediately drove back to the villa. I rushed straight into the room with charcoal fire. At this moment, Lillian is roasting by the fire. She waved to me as I approached. But when she saw me taking off my clothes, she suddenly shouted, "Wait!" and asked me what I was doing. I shakily told her that I fell into the river and needed to warm up by the fire for a while. She asked with her back turned if I needed to undress completely. All I could say was, "Sorry for the disturbance." Suddenly, her gaze shifted to the items I had thrown on the bed. That was a photo I had kept in my wallet. Lillian looked at the items I laid on the bed and asked, "The girl in the photo in your wallet, is she your girlfriend?" I told her she is an ex-girlfriend. She said, "Why would someone break up with such a cute girl?" I said what I wanted was a home, but she thought it was just a game. I asked if Lillian must have a lot of pursuers. Asked if she has made a choice. Lillian paused for a moment and said that he is called David, a PhD from MIT. He is an executive at a technology company. I said that person is really brave. It's just that his eyesight is not very good. Living with someone of your temperament must be quite challenging. Lillian suddenly turned around excitedly and said, "You actually slandered me." Her turn completely caught me off guard. So her first reaction was to cover her eyes with her hands. Then she apologized to me. I can imagine. What did this action of hers let me see? Lillian, who reacted. She directly drove me out of the room. That's really spectacular. But this surge of passion cannot resist the increasingly harsh cold and hunger. On the 122nd and 123rd days in the game Dreamland, no matter how hard I try, I can barely see the shadows of the deer herd. As long as I get close to half a step, they will disappear into the forest. All previous efforts will be in vain. I have never touched a real gun in reality. You can imagine the accuracy of aiming. Not to mention that shotguns are not suitable for long-distance combat at all. A single shot, and all the birds and beasts scatter. If I can't figure out a way to get close, it's like I've been sentenced to death. Days 124 and 125 in the game Dreamland. Lillian's communication with me has gradually become ordinary. But she did not blame me for coming back empty-handed. In fact, she is a very reasonable person. It's just that she has a strong sense of independence. I didn't tell her about the wolf pack. With her personality, she would definitely force herself to take on the responsibility. It's just that she's getting weaker, and the wound is not showing any signs of improvement. We haven't had a proper meal for a long time. I will tell her tomorrow. Perhaps we will have a harvest tomorrow. I have set up a trap. Of course, it is a very basic kind of spike pit. I put some vegetable leaves on top of it. At this time, vegetable leaves are a luxury for deer, right? They will definitely fall for it. Lillian blames me for not discussing it with her in advance. Consuming a large amount of physical energy at this time is too fatal. Indeed, I don't have the energy to do another one of these traps. I have no other way. Life and death will depend on tomorrow. The next day, heavy snow continued to fall. I drove to the trap. On the road, it was still snow all around. After getting out of the car, I saw the trap and felt confused. The trap was triggered, but it was empty. Wait, there were blurred bloodstains. It just escaped. I quickly followed the bloodstains on the ground. I prayed in my heart for it to fall. Just one would completely turn the situation around. However, when I finally saw the figure ahead, I was stunned in place. It turned out that the prey had been swiftly taken by those two damn wolves from yesterday. I cursed loudly, loaded my shotgun. I aimed the gun at them and fired, cursing as they fled. It's mine. However, those two wolves heard the gunshot. They grabbed their prey and ran away. I fell directly to my knees in the snow. I kept reminding myself, this is a game to suppress emotions. But failing like this feels worse than eating flies. Full of confidence, utterly discouraged, I dropped the gun in my hand. Angry, I roared towards the sky.